Hello Patriots, Crazy Hawk 99 here. By this time you've figured out I am not a videographer, so don't expect a preferred product. This is the third take. I won't even talk too much about the first two takes, but today we're going to do a video on this 1776 gun. You saw a teaser on a couple weeks ago. Full disclosure, I believe this rascal is spoken for. A good friend of mine has indicated he wants it. We haven't really settled on a dollar figure. We haven't haggled for that matter, but I know what I've got into it, and I need to make a little more of that than I have into it out of it on this one, because I kind of need the cash. But if not, it'll be a keeper. That's fine. I'm not disappointed in that. It's a nice looking weapon. Should be first. Now it's second. I'll say this: this weapon and any other you see in this video will have been safety checked. There's no ammo in them already. I've done that. So without further ado, this is what I'm calling the 1776 AR10 that I put together a couple months ago. This special edition paint set is a receiver set made by Aero Precision, one of my go-to companies, I guess. Not on the budget end, but not on the extreme cost end either. They're very affordable or reasonable for what you get. But they do, every month, they do a special paint scheme. Normally there's some type of a camouflage. They call them their builder set. They do it for the M5 series, which is their AR10 receivers, and the M4 series, which is the AR15 platform. This particular set, I think I purchased about 5 years ago, and like I said, I just got around to putting it together. I've had it in a box, got around to putting it together, or using it on a build a couple months ago. But I'm pretty sure I bought it about 5 years ago, and if my memory serves me, they released it around Independence Day, more commonly referred to as 4th of July. And it's a pretty nice looking design they did. I don't think they have done another very close to similar to this since. I don't know why, because this one sold out almost instantly, really, for good reason. It's beautiful. It's all Cerakoted, so it's fairly durable, but Cerakote will eventually wear. If you're using it, it'll wear on the sharp points and the edges, like you'd expect anything else to do. But and there might even be a little hint of some wear just from it, me handling it. But for the most part, it's super clean. You got the nice stripes, distressed type of stripes on the front. You've got a really nice blue, matching blue buttstock, and the grip is blue, but it fades into a little darker, and everything's battle worn, meaning they've also painted another color and kind of wiped that off, so all the recessed areas look like they're dirty, but they're not, which is good for people that don't like to keep things clean, because it'll look like it's supposed to, whether it's dirty or not. But you can see the graphics here on the buttstock says "We the People," and on the other side of the receiver, 1776, and I put this, this didn't come with it, but I added it to it. It says Second Amendment, it is not a suggestion, and on this side it says it's our right. I threw that on just to kind of add to the message that this gun's supposed to bring to the conversation. So the Aero Precision receivers are really nice. I've covered this in another video of the rifle I put together for a friend of mine, the M4 pistol rather, or the AR pistol that I put together last week. You may have seen that video. So instead of roll pins for the forward assist, I use a set screw, so that's a lot cleaner to install, less chance of marring up a finish, which is really nice on this one. And the same thing for the bolt catch. It's normally retained by a roll pin that goes right through there, and this has a set screw instead. Additionally, a feature of these Aero Precision enhanced receiver sets, they're a little more angular instead of rounded on their surfaces. Like this would normally just be round, and this has got some angles on it on the other side of the receiver as well. And on top of that, or addition to that, normally when you grab the lower receiver and the upper receiver and you kind of twist, you'll feel some wiggle, which is 100% normal on any mil-spec AR-15 or AR-10 type of weapon. But people don't like that. So what Aero Precision did, and some other companies I believe as well, they've got a set screw down here underneath the grip that you adjust before you put the grip on, and it has a polymer tip on it. You screw that into the point where where you take almost all the wiggle out. If you take all the wiggle out, it'll be very hard to remove the takedown pin, but you take almost all the wiggle out, and then you put your grip on, and you go about your business. And it's really nice because it locks it up pretty good, particularly if you're trying to get some, I don't know if this is going to be a precision gun or not. I've not shot it for that purpose, but it should be fairly accurate. I would guess that it's going to be at or near sub MOA. But when you're trying to shoot for groups, the less wiggle you have in anything, the better. So that's going to help in that regard. Let's see what else I got to cover before I move on. And I let my iPad time out on me. I just got this to keep me honest so I don't forget to talk about anything. Yeah, so we'll start at the front. The muzzle device is a Lantac. It's their Dragon muzzle brake. Very effective. It's a nice looking muzzle brake. I don't know if you can see that very well. A really nice looking muzzle brake, and it does its job really well. Much to the chagrin of the people left and right of you, if you've shot a gun with a muzzle brake, or I should say if you've been adjacent to somebody that has, you'll know what I mean. They work, but they do make it loud for the people around you, not so much for the shooter. And but that's a nice muzzle brake. Not a low dollar item, not through the top of the roof, but it's nice. And then behind that, the main part of the receiver, of course, on any gun for that mark or the upper receiver is the barrel, and this is a Faxon Firearms, their medium profile barrel, so it's not a full heavy barrel. And if you ever shot a AR10 or a 308 of any caliber, or not any caliber, any platform with a heavy barrel on it, you'll know what I mean. A heavy barrel is exactly what it sounds like. This one's got a medium profile on it, so it starts you know, fairly solid up towards the chamber and then tapers down. But it should get the job done for you. It's an 18-inch barrel, and it is a rifle link gas system and a .75 diameter gas, I don't know what you call that, where the gas block goes, .75 diameter. Moving on back here, the gas block itself is something to speak of for a couple minutes. Traditionally, a gas block is, you get what you get. It's a set diameter gas port in the barrel, of course, and then in the gas block, and you don't have any control typically of the gas that goes back to work the action of the rifle. And in this case, I've installed a Sequence Precision adjustable gas block, and it's a nice gas block. And the benefit of an adjustable gas block is if you're shooting low power ammo, and typically the gas ports and everything that are pre-drilled in the barrel are going to be set for the lowest pressure ammo that that a person would expect to use, because if they made it any more restricted than that and you used low pressure ammo, there wouldn't be enough gas cycling back to work the action. You'd have malfunctions, failures to eject, or failures to feed, or whatever. So they open the gas port up enough so that you're going to cycle that low power ammo, which is great. The downside of that is on a fixed gas block, when you run a higher pressure ammo, like some of your higher quality factory ammo or your match ammo, maybe even, you're going to be pushing a lot of gas back there, because remember, they made that port smaller, or opened it up larger for the lower pressure ammo. So now you're really pushing a lot of gas back, and it's hard on your components. It's hard on your bolt carrier group. It's hard on your buffer assemblies. It's hard on everything. It's not a big deal over a short period of time, but over time, the gun does take a beating. So by using a adjustable gas block, you can adjust how much gas is forced back based on the ammo you're using, or you predominantly use, and that really is going to give you a lot of longevity out of the internals of the gun. The other benefit of that is if you plan to use a can, which is the slang term for a suppressor, which is also called a silencer, but the industry usually refers to them as if you're running a can, because it looks like a can on the end of your barrel. If you're running a can, you almost absolutely have to have adjustable gas block, because the can creates so much back pressure in the weapon that you will almost certainly have reliability issues in your action, as far as failures of some sort. So the adjustable gas block, that's probably enough on that, but you get the idea. So behind that, we've got a black melanite gas tube, which you cannot see without really trying. And then we go into the receiver itself, which we've talked a little bit about the features of the receiver. I will say one thing about this that I haven't mentioned before. This has got their enhanced handguard receiver. Normally the handguard will end right here, and the receiver pretty much ends there too. But in this case, the receiver actually extends up into here, and these screws fit right over it. So it's proprietary. You'd have to buy the Aero Precision handguard made specifically for this type of receiver, but it fits on there like a glove though. So if you wanted to change your handguard out, that would be a problem for you if you want to go to another manufacturer and maintain this receiver. But I see no reason to do that. By the way, this handguard is a 15-inch handguard as well, which, you know, 15 inches, 18-inch barrel, so you got about 3 inches of barrel out here, which I'm sure you appreciate me doing the math for you. So that's it on the receiver. Coming back, see what we got here. We'll go straight back to the buttstock. The buttstock is fully adjustable, 6-position buttstock. This is the Magpul STR, and remember we talked about that wiggle in the receivers. Almost all adjustable buttstocks will have a little wiggle as well. And what Magpul's done is they put a little lever here. Once you got it set where you want it, you click this up and it locks everything up really tight. So again, that's a nice feature. It's not a showstopper if you don't have that by any stretch. Most weapons don't, or most rifles don't. But it's really nice to have. In addition, this has a QD point on it. You can move it left or right. I'm not sure. It's on the left side right now. And typically you want your QD on the opposite side you're shooting, so it probably should be on the right side. But in addition to that, instead of your standard end plate here, for those that know, there's normally just a flat end plate here on the back of the receiver. And this one is a Magpul one with a QD point there as well. So you could either hook your rear QD sling or point for your sling here, or onto here. And then the front point, each side of the receiver right here has a QD point as well. So that's this thing's ready to go if you have a sling with QD points on it. QD meaning quick detach, I'm sorry. So the grip is a Magpul MOE. Again, it's paint or color matched to the paint scheme. It's got a battery compartment in the bottom there. The safety selector is ambidextrous. This is the Radion Talon. This is my favorite. I don't know why specifically. It feels right. It's got a nice feel to it, and it looks good. But so if you're right-handed, such as I am, the side on the right would be a smaller because you'd be less likely to use it, and it'd be less likely to interfere with you. And the other side, the right side, it's a little bit larger. If you were left-handed, you want to switch that around, you could just take those off and put the small one on the other side, and vice versa. But it's a nice selector. You can either set up for a 45-degree throw or a 90-degree throw, and this is set up for a 45, which is my preference. It's a little shorter, a little faster, but it works very well. Let's see, I think that's there. My iPad timed out again. I apologize. My assistant is slacking and non-existent, by the way. Okay, the lower parts kit that's in here, so that lower parts kit is basically your pins and stuff. That's an Aero Precision lower parts kit. Really nothing to talk about there. The magazine is a Magpul 20 round PMag. Nothing to talk about there. They're like Glocks. They work all day long. They just work. So we'll take that, put that out of the way. Let's see. Okay, one thing I forgot to cover. On the buttstock, on the back here, it's normally a rigid plastic butt pad, I guess you'd call it. And I've installed a limb saver. I don't know if you can tell, but it's very spongy, pushy. And it really helps with absorbing some of the recoil. With this and the muzzle brake, honestly, you're shooting this as a soft shooter. You're going to know you're shooting a 308, but you can shoot it all day long. It's not going to cause you any real discomfort. So that's a really nice feature. But if a person didn't like that, they wanted something a little more solid, it's really easy to take off. But I like them. If you've shot one with them, I think you'll agree. But if not, by all means, if you don't like them, let me know in the comments why. I'm always willing to hear what people have to say. Okay, so now we can open it up and see what's inside. Pull our takedown pin, comes out. So the first thing we'll see inside, and you won't be able to tell from there, but we've got a single stage drop-in trigger here. It's a Rise RA140 SST, I think. Let me see, SST, yep. It's called a drop-in, so it's all encased. You know, most trigger assemblies are about 4 or 5, 6 parts. but it's got, I'm going to close this just temporarily. I'll close it all the way. Cycle this so we got chambered. I'm going to use my thumb just to see if you can see how much take up there is. There's really no take up at all. And then I take it off of safe, and it's just a really light, crisp brake. I can't remember if this is 3.5 or 4.5 pounds as advertised, but it feels a little more like 3.5 pounds. And on a anything but a range precision gun, I wouldn't probably go any lower than that anyway. But it's got a nice feel to it. And then checking the reset. Yeah, it's got a nice audible, tactile reset as well, so that's a nice feature. And that's a price range on that trigger is I'm not going to talk dollar figures, but I'd say it's a mid-range. It's definitely not a budget trigger, and it's definitely not your Geisley, top of the line or anything like that. So it's somewhere in the middle of there, which is where I typically find myself when I'm buying components. So going from there, we're going to pull our bolt carrier group out here. And we've got a charging handle here. I think this is Aero Precision charging handle, and it's got a Strike Industries extended latch on it, which that's the way I typically like to roll. They're a pain in the butt to change the latch on the charging handle. It's one of the most frustrating things you can do on one of these, but it's not rocket science. It's just you got to have patience. But yeah, that's nice. And then the bolt carrier group is Faxon Firearms. Not much to talk about there. Faxon's, in my opinion, the industry standard for customer service. I have had to deal with them a couple times, and to date, it's been no issue. This is nitrite, nice black, slick finish to it, so it'll be durable and will clean up fairly easily. As anybody that's shot AR10s or any gas system weapon before, they run pretty dirty. Okay, and then one more thing we'll talk about here. One thing that I've done non-standard on this that I have never done before is I instead of using a standard buffer and a buffer spring, I went to what's called an Armispec. That's a company name. Their SRS, Stealth Recoil Spring on this. It's all in it's kind of a pain to get out compared to a standard one, but again, it's not rocket science. So it's all contained. Normally you've got your spring and you got your loose buffer, and it just slides in there. And this is all contained, and I believe you can change these out for heavier or maybe even lighter weight ones if you need to. But this one cycled fine with the ammo I was shooting. I don't see a need to do that, but a person needed to, they could contact Armispec and order the appropriate or the one they want. But the idea here is these are supposed to run a little quieter, because when you're shooting an AR gun, you can, if you're concentrating enough, you can hear the twang of the recoil spring. Some people find it distracting. I don't. I'd have to shoot this back to back to see really if it is worth the extra money, because it is a bit of extra money for that. And if the person didn't want that and they wanted a standard one, that's too easy. I could pull that out and put the standard one in as well. So let me see if I forgot anything as I fire my, it didn't go into sleep mode. Okay, one thing we didn't talk about the optic. So this is a Bushnell scope. It is a 4.5 to 18 by 40 scope. It is in the price range of, it's hard to talk about price ranges of scopes because you can spend 4 times as much on the scope as you can on the rifle without batting an eye. That's not the case here. This is toward the budget end, I'll just say that. But it's a nice scope. It's got nice glass on it. The reticle on the inside is etched for a 308 BDC, bullet drop compensating. So what that means is they're going to do some math for you. If you set to zero this at 100 yards, and if you do, of course you hold your crosshairs. If you're at 100 yards, you're holding your crosshairs right on the target, you're going to hit it. If you go out to 200 yards and you know it's 200 yards, you can just elevate your gun and then use there's like 3 or 4 dots below the crosshair, one for 200, one for 300, 400, 500 yards, and you just use those. It's a faster way to get on target than adjusting your turrets. It's not as accurate as if you're going to adjust your turrets, but if you know the range and you need to get a quick shot off hunting or whatever, you don't often have time to fiddle with your turrets. The turrets are nice. They don't, the tactile feel of the clicks is a little soft for me, but it's not a showstopper again. And they are the adjustments are in MILRAD for those that understand, as opposed to MOA. And it does have a parallax adjustment knob on the side. That's pretty much a must-have. I've got what's supposed to be a precision gun with a cheap scope on it. It doesn't have a parallax adjustment on it. And if you've shot a gun without a parallax adjustment and shot one with one, you'll understand why you want one with a parallax adjustment knob. It's going to take a lot of human error out of it. I won't go into details. Frankly, I probably don't understand them enough to explain them. But that's this gun. If you got any questions about this, anything I talked about, for something you're interested in doing yourself in the future, or a question you might have, anything at all, drop it in the comments. I'm happy to answer it. But while I've got this gun, I'm going to show you this other one that's going to look very similar, if I can pick it up with one hand. So you've got these two guns right here. Now I'm going to set the 1776 gun aside. And this is another one that's it's built off the same receiver set. It just doesn't have the fancy graphics. This one, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but I Duracoated this one in a combat gray. So the upper receiver, lower receiver, handguard, and the muzzle brake are combat gray. Everything else is black, so you got a nice contrast. This one is obviously doesn't have a magnified optic. It's got Yankee Hill machine metal flip-up sights. They're adjustable, full elevation adjustment in the front, and windage adjustment with 2 diopters in the back. Really nice sights, honestly. They're a high quality sight. They're not budget by any stretch. Same muzzle device. The barrel, I believe, on this one, I don't have the specs in front of me, is a ballistic advantage. I'm almost positive barrel. And this one does have an adjustable gas block. I'd almost forgotten that. And I don't remember what block. It's not the Sequence Precision. I'm not sure which one this is. It looks like it might be a JP Enterprises, but I'm not gonna, don't quote me on that. Let's see, is this rifle length? Let's see. This is a mid-length. The other one, the 1776 is rifle length. This one's a mid-length gas system. I won't go into specifics on that either, because this video is already getting long. The magazine's a little different. This has got a hex mag on it instead of the P mag. These are good as well. I don't know if they're as good as I've never had a problem with them, but I haven't time tested them as much as the Magpul P mags. But as far as I know, they're no issue. And this one has a different safety. This one's running a Magpul safety. I don't remember what they call it. But it's also 45 throw, and it's nice. The only difference in this one, obvious difference, is the switches here, not the internals, but the switches are polymer, as opposed to metal on the other one. That's not a problem at all. Polymer, if anybody's familiar, is as strong as the day is long. The stock is different on this one. This is their ACS stock, also made by Magpul. It's obviously adjustable, and it's got the take-up, slack take-up thing on it. It's got a nice cheek weld area, similar to the other size of the other one. Not quite as much real estate as the 1776 gun on getting your cheek in it, but I've also put a limb saver pad on this. The grip is different than the Magpul. I don't remember whose grip this is. I'd have to look it up. It doesn't come out at me. There's a little storage compartment in the butt stock if you want to put batteries or whatnot in there. And let's open it up and see what we got inside of here. Tell you what, before we open it up, let's check the trigger out. This trigger is a CMC trigger, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to try this one out. Take it off save. That one does have take-up in it, but not much. Not much take-up. Nice light brake. And then a nice solid, they're very comparable triggers. I like the feel of the shoe, which is the actual part your finger touches on this trigger, a little better than that one. It's curved, but the surface itself is flat. I know that sounds retarded, and that's kind of the way I typically sound. But we'll open it up here and take a look at our bolt carrier group. And for those that aren't familiar, I'll show you the standard buffer. This charging handle is not the Strike Industries latch. I forget who makes this one, but it does have an extended latch on it. I like the Strike Industry lights a little better, but there's nothing wrong with this. It's extended and it helps out a lot. The bolt carrier group, I believe, is an Aero Precision bolt carrier group. It looks like polished stainless or chrome to you. It is not. It's nickel boron. For those that aren't familiar, that's a finish that's put on the material of the metal, and it is very slick. They call it high lubricity. So it's supposed to add in or reduce, not add in friction, but reduce friction, and also make it a lot easier to clean it up, which is a plus. But they do cost about 50% more than a standard bolt carrier group does. Let's see. And trying to keep this short. This is a standard buffer spring as opposed to that encapsulated one that I showed you on the 1776 gun. What else we got? I think we got the dust cover here just says 7.62 by 51 millimeter NATO, which is 308. I know it's not exactly a 308, but those that know. You can shoot 308 in a 7.62 gun, and vice versa, without the issues that you typically have with this 223 5.56. So shucks, that went pretty long, so I'm going to wrap this up. And if you guys got any questions or anything, please drop them in the comments. It helps me do the next video. I'd also encourage you to give me a like and subscribe on my YouTube channel. To do that, just click the open app button and do so from there. But I appreciate you, and hope I didn't take too much of your time up. Y'all have a good day.